Wenn man Quoten-Rap verboten hätte, toten hätte so viele Leute aus der Meute, die sich freute, doch zu spät für die Masse, die verpasste, sich dagegen zu streben. Was ich hasse, die Tatsache, hey, sie wollen so leben, hey, sie wollen nichts geben, nur erleben, ja, von denen sie werden reingehen, das werden sie einsehen. Spätestens dann, wenn ich sie in meine eigene Talkshow einrede, so geht's mir nie, da das schwarze Bayern weht. Ich rüttel an Fassaden, schüttel Maskeraden, die haben und taugen nichts.
Das ist mein Manifest im Augenblick.
Ja, alles nur ein fauler Zaubertrick. Wer's nicht glaubt, schickt ne Postkarte an mich. Ich empfange dich dann in meiner Talkshow. Let's make a talk, yo, das Niveau. Aber heute mal richtig tief, tja, ist halt so. Einfach richtig mies, ist halt angesagt. Danach wird nachgefragt und dann zugemüllt den ganzen Tag. Bis später, ja. Wir sehen uns ganz bestimmt, bis sehen uns später, ja. Egal wo wir sind, bis später, ja. Wir sehen uns ganz bestimmt, zweifellos, ernsthaft, gewiss, mein Kind.
Hey everybody, keeping it real fishing here, doing the casting distance comparison between the Lexa 100, that's the Daiwa Lexa 100, and the Lose BB-1. Now as a control, or not so much as a control, just kind of to throw another one into the fray, I have one of my existing reels, which is going to be the Daiwa T3 Ballistic. So right here we have the Lexa. Okay. BB-1. And T3. Now, my controls are a little bit off. Ideally, I'd like to have everything spooled with the same type of line. And I do have 3 different types of line, which is going to play a factor. On the T3 Ballistic, I have some Power Pro Slick 8. This is in 40-pound test. On the BB-1, this came pre-spooled from Tackle Warehouse as a demo reel, and I'm not sure exactly what type of line is on it. I believe it's fluorocarbon, and it looks to be, if I had to guess, 14-pound test. And on the Lexa 100, I have a braid, but it's a particularly thin braid. It looks to be maybe a 30-pound or even a 20-pound braid. It's very thin. So we do have the variable of line here. Just take that in consideration for the final casting distances. The lures that we're going to be using today, a combination of some lighter and some heavier and some popular lures. We're looking at a 1.5. This happens to be a KVD crankbait. Yamamoto Senko. This is in a 5-inch. We'll be throwing that weightless, wacky rigged. Have a Coppers Live Target Frog in the full-size version. I believe those are 65 Ts. I forget the designation, but I believe these are 3/4 of an ounce. And we're going to be looking at a lipless crank. In this case, it's a Rapala, one of those one-knocker guys, and I'm pretty sure that these are in the vicinity of also 3/4 of an ounce. So those are going to be lures that I'm going to be testing here. Now, I'll just show you how it's set up. We have this field here, and I'm using a field in place of water. 1, because it's the end of January and most of the water around here is iced over, and 2, because I want to actually record the distances and make this somewhat quantitative and not qualitative. I don't just want to say I feel like it casts farther, but I want to actually measure it. So out there, that first red bottle, it's my water bottle, and that's placed at 50 feet. 50 feet from where I'm going to be casting from. I marked that out, and the bottle's at 50. And then you can see tape measures after that. So those are both 25-foot tape measures. So that middle measure right there is at the 75-foot mark, and the far tape measure, that designates the 100-foot mark. I'm going to start off with the lighter lures. For the lipless crank, I might be able to get in excess of that. I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem, so I'm going to have to adjust that at that time. But I'm going to start off with the crankbait and the Senko now, and we're going to see how those two cast. That box designates the measured point. by which from here to there is 50 feet. May look a little skewed on the camera just because of perspective, but I just measured that out with the tape measure. That's 50 feet even. All right, let's check it out. Everything is dialed in approximately. Spool tensioner, so the lure goes down at a consistent rate and doesn't overrun when it hits the ground. And I'm starting off, the Lexa has magnetic brakes, and I'm putting those at the halfway point. In the case of the Lexa, that would be 5. There is a wind today. It's coming from this way, so it's coming there, passing over me. As you can see that lure, maybe you couldn't see that lure bear to the right. So wind is a factor in fishing. Ideally, this would be a perfect test if I was indoors, if wind was not a factor, just to compare them apples to apples. But I don't have an indoor facility, so we're going to deal with the wind. I believe today we're looking at winds of between 4 and 8 miles an hour. Yamamoto Senko 5-inch. Holy crap. Bad cast, but off to the side, not measurable at far. Very far, actually. It's far. Now what I'm going to do here, I'm obviously not going to let this video run the entire time. I'm going to do that same thing. What I'm going to do is for each lure, I'm going to take, I'm going to average the casts. I'm not sure how much time I'm going to take on this. Between 5 and 10 casts for the same lure on each reel, so I can get an average. So I'm going to do the same thing and cast it again and again and again and again. That same crankbait, I'm going to write all of it down and then be able to tally it all up and get an average. And then I'm going to switch lures. And do it on all the lures in the same manner. After I'm done doing that, with the same rod, of course, I'm going to swap, put on the BB-1, and then do the same thing. Lure by lure, 10 casts, write them all down, and that'll give me an average. And then lastly, I'm going to put on the ballistic and do the same thing on that. So it should give a pretty good idea of casting distances, and if there's any significant difference to be had over the averages, should be able to see it on paper, see it mathematically. Alright, so the video is going to run, but of course I'm going to be editing this, and we'll see how it pans out. Alright everybody. Live target. What's up guys, moved to the BB-1. Just got the loose BB-1 on here, finished the Daiwa testing. Setting this up, getting the brakes adjusted. First time using the system like this with the 6-pin centrifugal, whereas you have some that are constant on and then some that are spring assist. So I'm trying to figure out, I'm learning as I go, what's the best combination for various lures. So I just put on the live target. I'm still working at long distances, getting this dialed in. Yeah, first impressions, I mean just after a couple of casts, it seems a whole lot more consistent. The Daiwa is a little bit more variability cast to cast. And I did have a number of backlashes on the Daiwa. It's like, it seems like the Daiwa, you could tweak it to right to within an inch and get that few 5, 10 extra feet. But if you whip it a little too hard, or if you don't have it just out of that threshold, I got a couple backlashes there that are pretty bad. With this one, my first couple casts, it just, you don't have that same adjustability. With the Daiwa, you know, you have that 20 point, it says 10 points on the little magnetic dial, but there's half step, so it's really 20 points of adjustment. So you can kind of keep edging it, you know, let me take it down half a notch, down half a notch. You can keep trying to get that extra distance. This one with the 6, you got the off and on, I feel like it's a lot safer. I'm whipping the thing real hard, and I don't feel like I'm barely thumbing it at all. But at the same time, my casts are just like the same distance every single time. Whereas the Daiwa, the more I fiddled with it, the more I could kind of get that extra couple feet. So, anyway, let's do a little testing on the BB-1. My setup right now, just for reference, with this frog, again, full-size Copper's frog. I'll have to double check that weight. I believe it's around 3/4 of an ounce. I started, it doesn't matter what I started with, but right now I'm at 1 blue pin, so that's one that stays constant on, and 1 of the spring-loaded pins. So that's the one that's going to trail off towards the end of the cast. And I'm barely thumbing it, and it's working out really well. Yeah, working out really well. Lose, BB-1, Senka. Looks like it's about 100 feet. Let's check it out. Hey everybody, so here's the chart, and these are my results from using the 2 reels. And what I want to call your attention to, this is going to stay up there for a little while, and you could you know, pause it if you like, but I have this on for a few minutes here. At the bottom, I have an advantage column, and basically that's the reel that won. So you can see in 3 out of the 4 categories, the BB-1 came out ahead, and right below it is the average as to which it casted greater. So say in the case of the KVD 1.5, it was casting that lure on average 11.8 feet further than the Lexa. What I want to mention to you though is in the category where the Lexa did win, that's the clack and wrap, it actually, I don't think that it really won necessarily, because if you look at my cast distances for that lure, the Rapala wrap, when I was using the BB-1, you see they start off kind of small, 136, and then I got a 143, and then a 152, and then a 163. And I wasn't casting any harder. What I was doing was I was changing the pin configuration for the reel. And there's a lot of changing to be had because, you know, not only are they centrifugal pins that you're changing, but some are constant on and some are spring loaded. And so as you can imagine, you could do a really wide array of configurations there. You could do, say, 2 spring loadeds and that's it, or 2 constant ons, or 1 spring and 1 constant, and each configuration gives you different results. So what you see there is me starting off conservatively, I think probably with 3 pins, and I forget of which, you know, which series of each, and then I kept trying different configurations, you know, making sure I didn't backlash and seeing which one gave me the best distance. So even though the Lexa came out ahead, it was only because of my time, and I just couldn't keep casting and casting and changing. I wanted to finish this all in that one day. So based on my tests, I would say that the BB-1 is the further casting reel, not only for lightweight baits as well as for heavy baits, but it did seem that on the heavier baits, the difference was diminished, that the Lexa was comparable to the BB-1 when using the heavier baits. But if you're looking for something to cast a lightweight lures, I think the BB-1 is definitely the way to go in terms of a bait caster.